Brodes Media.
Oh, drama. Ben Simmons drama. Before we talk about the game, did I mention that there was a game? There was a game on top of the Ben Simmons drama. If you're new to the channel, smash the subscribe button, hit the thumbs up button as well. I greatly appreciate all the support. And real quick, if you're looking to go to an NBA game, NHL game, NFL game, you can utilize the promo code BRODES at SeatGeek's checkout page for $20 off of your purchase. It is a no-brainer that eliminates all the fees right there. Bang. Get yourself to a game. That being said, enjoy the show. What is going on, everyone? Welcome on into Sports Talk with Brodes. I would love to sit here and discuss that basketball game. Even though it was a loss and it was frustrating, the zone defense caused so many problems. Furkan Korkmaz was an absolute disaster, and shame on me because I think I jinxed the man as soon as I finally give Furkan Korkmaz some praise for the way that he has maximized his skill set. He ends up becoming the worst player we've ever seen, and he's been miserable over the last two nights. But I digress. I have to begin, and we will obviously get to what we witnessed, and Paul Reed with the headband, blocking on one side, Euro stepping on the other. Tyrese Maxey is a legitimate stud who can score in so many different ways, and he just continues to add. He was so damn lethal in that fourth quarter, specifically with 15 points, 2 assists, 1 block, 1 steal. He helped you come back. He helped you fight back. Andre Drummond had a crucial putback late as well. You know, there's so much action that happened, even though we're upset that they fell. This was a winnable game. This is not one of those matchups where I dive back to, even though it's important you don't have Joel, Matisse, and some of these other players. They didn't lose this game against Toronto on their home floor in Philadelphia because they lacked their players due to them being unavailable. Obviously, it would help, and it would probably be a different game if they were out there. With the circumstances they were dealt tonight, they should have and they could have won that basketball game. They just needed to execute better, poor in transition, missed a lot of shots, rebounding was an issue. And look, I know it's easy to say, well, would it have been an issue if Tobias Harris wasn't coming off of a COVID list, if Joel Embiid was there for you? Look, I got you. But still, I think it's fair to say that was a winnable game even with those circumstances. Late possessions, Furkan's trying to pass it to Andre Drummond. You had the major block by Drummond, which the referees elect to call it a foul, which is a miserable call that impacted the rest of the flow. First off, it's a 3-minute review, as if it wasn't obvious first sight. Didn't we all notice right from the jump that, hello, that was all ball? It wasn't even close. It wasn't even maybe. It wasn't even a little bit of body contact. It was full on a block. Tobias Harris would have been going out in transition when they blew the whistle. Instead, all the momentum's down. The Wells Fargo Center is no longer as electric, and you have to have a jump ball, which goes in the favor of Toronto, and you cash a big 3. Late, they made 3s. Van Vliet. Yeah, it was damaging for sure. But I think we have to go with the Ben Simmons thing here because Shams, in the middle of the game, dropped the big report on The Athletic about Rich Paul and these comments being made. And quite frankly, it pisses me off, right? Yes, it makes me uncomfortable sitting here talking about somebody else's mental health because it's no joke. It's not something that should be ever questioned, and it shouldn't be discussed in the way that it is with Ben. But due to circumstances, because of the way he has handled himself, this is how it works. It's a cause and effect. The way you act, there are reactions to your actions, and based off of you calling out Joel Embiid, you calling out Doc Rivers, you calling out the fan base, you calling out Daryl Morey because apparently the roster's not good enough for you. There's so many issues on why you weren't able to succeed, and now and this is why this doesn't make sense, right? So now, and I'll give credit to Mark Jackson during the post game, him and Jim Lynam and Amy Fadul, they were talking about this, and I thought Mark Jackson put it out perfectly on display. When you label mental health in this article. That's not what was called before. This was mentioned previously throughout. Not ready to play in Philadelphia. Not mentally ready to play games yet. That's not mental health issues. So when you say that he's been targeted and he hasn't been... the organization hasn't really supported him. Well, you never said mental health issues. I'm just not ready to play. And then when you are there, right, you're going through the motions. You don't want to be there. You're being a baby. You're getting kicked out of practice on purpose so you don't have to speak to the media. Look, mental health is serious. Look how Lane Johnson handled his scenario, right? It's a professional conversation. You actually inform your organization, your employer, what's happening, who you're going to, where you're at. There's no sense. And look, the Sixers stopped finding him. And I put this tweet out there on Twitter. It's getting a lot of reaction right now. And I stated this. The Ben Simmons situation is simple. If mental health is the main goal, then Rich Paul and Ben Simmons shouldn't care about any sort of fines. And I mean that, and I didn't put this in there, which Twitter, it is what it is. You get your characters out there, and that's that. Right now, it should be about Ben Simmons getting right. So I continued. I should have said any sort of fines right now. But I just ended it at Ben and Rich Paul shouldn't care about any sort of fines. Get right. But they consistently are trying to find ways to get paid, get their money. See, when you throw into the article as well, John Wall's getting paid to do nothing. Well, what? That's not this. That's not this. So Houston and John Wall got together and came up with a game plan because they actually had discussions, and the Houston Rockets thought it would be in their best interest to not play John Wall because it suits them best. The Sixers don't have to say that not playing Ben Simmons suits us best. They don't believe that. That's not part of their beliefs. They believe that Ben Simmons helps them play better. They believe that they want Ben Simmons here. The Houston Rockets don't want John Wall, and they thought it would be best for them to keep him off the floor and trade him later on and then go down that road. But just because they decided to do that doesn't mean that the Sixers have to feel that way, because they hold Ben Simmons to a higher standard in terms of, and they look at him, I should say, as a better basketball player that can actually help them compete for a championship. They want Ben back. They made it very clear. They want Ben back. So don't tell me because the Houston Rockets, who are ran differently, were okay with John Wall sitting and they were okay with paying him. These are all totally different scenarios laying out in front of us. That's fraudulent. Rich Paul and Ben Simmons, they're just handling this so poorly. And you can tell the difference between people who are invested into all these stories and then the ones that are listening to it from afar and just watching it happen from a distance, where I go, well, what do you mean? Ben clearly has mental health problems, so why fine it? Well, you're not diving into every little detail that has happened since Game 7 underneath the basket with the pass that was to Matisse Thybulle. There's 9,000 pieces to the puzzle where you can't just look at this and analyze this and say, well, he clearly has some sort of mental problem, so the Sixers should pay him for that. It's how he's handled this. It's how he went about it to get to this point in general. I mean, look, it's a big step for them to say mental health. Okay. I want Ben Simmons to be able to get healthy. That's something that I do. I want him to be the best, in the best mindset he possibly can as a human being. Basketball is secondary. But that's my point. And I don't think that he's even approaching it that way. The money's secondary. Get right. And guess what? You wouldn't be fined if you just properly assessed your mental health. That's legitimate. That's as obvious can get, because the Sixers stopped finding you in the past when it was open on the table that I'm going to get some help. But then they elected to refine you because you weren't communicating properly, because you're a snake and you're trying to be cute and you're trying to be fancy throughout this process so you look like the tough guy. But you're not. You're not. And once again, it makes me feel uncomfortable because I hate this. But it's real. But it's real. And I'm going to keep it real. This is where Ben is. And I shouldn't feel bad because you did this to yourself. Imagine if, look, Lane Johnson went away. Nobody knew anything, and nobody was questioning anything. And it was, I'm not right. I'm not right. I need to get better. You sit down with your employer, you express where you're at, and then you guys talk it out. You discuss avenues that you can go down. You discuss the long-term goal, the short-term goal. You communicate every day. Thank you so much for helping me out here. I really appreciate it. I'm going to need some more time. This and that. Like, there's ways to go about this, but you show up, you ride the bike, you go to camp, you fly into Philly when the Sixers are playing a game at the Wells Fargo Center. I mean, all the shadiness. I mean, please, come on. And the fact that Rich Paul is going down this road, making it seem like this is just all Sixers, all Daryl Morey's fault. It's ridiculous. It really is. So his approach today, saying that he's being targeted. No, he's not. He signed a 4-year deal. He's got a lot of money left on the books, and the Sixers want him. They made it very clear. You don't have to use the guy that we're telling you, or the individual, I should say, that we're handing to you. You can go through the NBA. You can go through those type of avenues, if you will, and they did that. But you have to keep your employer in the loop. As much as mental health is extremely important, and you have to get right, you can't play around with that. It's no joke. Then guess what? You have to also inform your employer too. That's step 2 here. It's not a free-for-all. It's not you just get a free pass. It's no, you have to take it serious and actually attack it professionally. So here's another part of the story here, where he comes out and says, so you either help Ben or say he's lying. Like Rich Paul saying this about the Sixers. Either help Ben or say he's lying. Is that a threat? Are you threatening the Sixers? No, I don't know. Is threat the right word? But what type of statement is that? You're basically trying to throw it back on the Sixers to make them look like the bad guy. What's the initiative here? Is it to get Ben as healthy as possible, or is it just to get Ben his money so he can kick back and relax, get paid whatever he wants to get paid so he doesn't have to put on a 76ers uniform again, because that's his end goal? The fact that they're taking down this path because he's unhappy in the city, I think to a degree too, this is somewhat really hurting the hurdle that we have gotten as a society with mental health. This just throws an ugly, ugly spot into it. Because it's fair to question. It's fair to wonder. Based off of it taking 35,000 other reasons why Ben Simmons failed to get to this point. And I know some would say, well, yeah, the reason why is because he was afraid to admit. Yes and no. Yes and no. Once again, I'm uncomfortable. But I'm keeping it real. That's what I like to do here. We've taken so many leaps, we've taken so many jumps, and went over so many hurdles for people to feel comfortable speaking a certain way about it. We know Ben Simmons is unwilling to play here again, and now he's making it fishy. For all the ones that come out in a simple way and just say, look, this is what's happening, and I need to better myself. Why? Why did it get to this level of toxicness? Unbelievable. It really is. And it's disgusting to me because I don't want to be talking about this anymore. I don't. I'm sick and tired of the Ben Simmons stuff. I really am, but it's not going anywhere. Now, Paul informed the Sixers not mentally ready to play in the past, right? But not mentally ready to play in Philadelphia. That's the way it was phrased in the past. Not ready to play in Philadelphia. Guess what? I highlight in Philadelphia right off the jump, right off the bat. Would he be okay to play in another city? Because that's something that's always in the back of my mind. If he gets traded tomorrow, is he playing in the next city? Now, there's so much noise surrounding it because of how toxic it got and how long it's been happening for. So maybe he does feel a certain type of way. But if this happened right when the season began or in the offseason or something like that, it probably just would have been another trade and he would have had on that uniform and played. Is this a basketball problem or a 76ers problem? Is this a he won't play basketball anywhere? Maybe basketball is the wrong word to use. Is this a I won't play at all problem? Or is this a I won't play in Philadelphia problem? Because that's two totally different situations here. Is it mental health? Or is it a I'm not ready to mentally play in Philadelphia and I never will be again because of where we are? But keep in mind, we're here, Ben, because of no one else but you. You caused this. While every other basketball player, I'm watching, Maxey has grown in 3 months as an NBA basketball player more than Ben Simmons has in his entire 5-year career. And I'm talking strictly working on your game of basketball. There should be no criticism of me criticizing that. Basketball, criticizing the game of basketball, working on your craft as a $30 million a year man, as a professional athlete, working on your game, that's what you do. That's what you do. It's your job. It's what you get paid to do. So it's crazy. It is. It's absolutely crazy. And, just tired of it. I'm not tired of utilizing WinView. WinView is the nation's leading sports predictor, allowing you to compete in pre-game or live contests against other people, not the house. You answer 8 questions about each game before it begins or play in quarter-long contests while you're watching the game to take your viewing experience to the next level. All right, it's not about spreads, salary caps, or over-unders. All you need to do is answer questions about the game that you love. You can double your deposit bonus. This is the promo they have right now. Up to $100. For all first-time users, your first deposit will be doubled up to $100. That means if you deposit and spend $50, you'll get $100. If you deposit and spend $100, you'll get $200. This is the perfect bonus to take advantage of during the NBA, MLB, and NHL season right now. So make sure you go down to the link in the description, winview.tv/Brodes. Download their app. I'm telling you, it's addicting. It's like TikTok nonstop. I'm just answering questions about games, winning some cash nonstop, taking the fiance out to dinner, buying some new shoes. I just got some Jordan 1 lows, UNC, unbelievable colors, fantastic. Thank you, WinView. That could be you as well. So make sure you check that out down below. But getting to the game here, I guess, right? Getting to the game because the game was played, but it's been overshadowed by a big Shams bomb that was dropped in the middle game, and it ruined everything. It ruined the flow for me. It ruined the feel for me. Even though the game was sloppy, third quarter major runs, and the Raptors just kept scoring, and even through the fourth quarter, the late possessions were very poor, and Seth Curry, it's like, no, damn. And then even the Seth Curry turnover, although there was a foul involved, they did not call anything, as his hands clearly got hit throughout the process of the pass. There was a lot of wonkiness late, and they poorly executed. But, as much as I want to be upset with the refs, as I should be, and I am, and I'm not going to let that off the hook, there were a lot of things that happened prior to that last sequence that really, maybe you wouldn't even been in that position to have to play out that sequence that way, or I should say differently, if you were sharper. Clean up the glass, it's going to be difficult, for sure, when you're losing your center. But let's be realistic. Drummond can rebound. We know that. Paul Reed can rebound. There's still guys out there that can rebound. They were missing their shots, not getting back in transition. Not the Rockets. I got the John Wall thing on my mind. The Toronto Raptors were getting some easy buckets and scoring. Van Vliet going off. Yeah, it did happen. But so did Tyrese Maxey, 33, 5, and 4. And this is an interesting, I guess, debate that's happening on Twitter right now. Where's the moral victories now that you dropped 3 games in a row and you're losing home games? Yeah, this one doesn't fall in the moral victory category. There's positives you could take away, like Paul Reed seems to be a player, a legitimate player. Tyrese Maxey is a legitimate stud, not just a legitimate player, a legitimate stud. Has hiccups, sure. Sometimes defensively, not the sharpest, but he's clearly taking a jump in the right direction each game. Tobias Harris just being back on the floor is a major positive. Now, I thought that he missed some shots that he probably should make. He hesitated at times to pull the trigger, and we know that Doc Rivers has already mentioned a billion times since coming here that the best Tobias Harris is someone that's making quick decisions and letting it fly without double guessing or thinking twice or, hell, even thinking 3 times in one possession. Just be you, Tobias. What you feel in that moment, bang, go with it. Don't overthink the game. That's where Tobias gets in trouble, but he also has COVID, coming back from COVID, and we know that he was feeling it. It wasn't just an asymptomatic situation. So, ultimately, yeah, this isn't a game where you can pump your fist and say moral victory, but to say in November, or is it? Yeah, no, it's November. It's November, Brodes. In November, you lose a couple home games and you lose a few games in a row. It's not the end of the world. It's November 11th. It's November 11th, and you're missing you lost some games. Guess what? When we're talking about January, February, March, are we really we might date back to the beginning of the season as a general sense and say, remember when they were so depleted due to injuries, but are we going to say, remember those 3 games where they lost? I just think it's an early stage of the season to start saying that, it's time to panic or it's time to push all these buttons and nervous, that who are they, this and that. It's an 82-game season of a journey where you have a young player in Tyrese Maxey running your offense, where you have the Ben Simmons thing over top of you, whether you like it or not. It's there. There's so much happening. Just relax. That's all. Let's not go outrageous here and start making long-term claims because of where they are at this very moment, where a game slipped that they probably should have played smoother. There's going to be a billion more games where they probably should have played smoother. It's just reality. And there's going to be a stretch of 3 games on the road throughout maybe December where they win 3 on the road. And let's not go too far out and get our opinions way too aggressive when that sequence happens either. So you have to stay calm, stay in the middle, and that's kind of where I'm at. All right, so let's get to the Anytime Hotline. Let's take a couple calls and hear from you after the game. Here we go.
This was definitely probably the worst outing of the Sixers I've seen so far without Embiid. Just way too many turnovers, really bad turnovers. And the Sixers need to start working on it. When the threes are not working, you got to try something else. That third quarter was really, really rough, and they had a valiant comeback. It was great to see Tobias come back. Maxey had a great game again, but they just got to kind of get to that second level of when certain things are not working, you got to have another backup plan. But it is what it is. Move on to the next one.
You're right. We've seen that a few times now where they just get 3 happy and Joel Embiid's presence, go get me a bucket type of thing. That slows things down. I also thought the zone played a major role in there. And then, there were a lot of fans that got on Brett Brown all the time because, you can't beat the zone. You can't beat the zone. Yeah, you know what? A lot of teams struggle when the zones get thrown their way. There's a reason why when the Miami Heat is constantly using a zone and Eric Spoelstra does that, teams look out of sorts and teams look uncomfortable. It's just the nature of the beast. And you got to be sharper. You got to find a way to counter that for sure. And I thought Tyrese Maxey, when things got tough, he did get fouled. And it's him. Like, sometimes I'm going, what does Tyrese Maxey have to do to get an and one? What does Tyrese Maxey have to do? He's a small guy. He's skinnier. He's smaller. He flies. He soars. It seems like, is it the demeanor and the look of him that sometimes doesn't get him calls? Is it the lack of experience? Sometimes if you're a veteran, you get those calls. More times than not, if you're a rookie, you have to earn it. That's always being discussed. But he calmed down the game. He got fouled. He got to the charity stripe. That fourth quarter was just ridiculous, scoring at so many different layers. And it's not as if he had the three-point shooting for him specifically going tonight, but just the way, at one point in his career early on, and we still are very early on, it was just about the floater and the layup. But you could see the difference in confidence and the game slowing down. And even when he's finding his passes, when he's dribbling and he's coming around his screen and he's kind of settling in where he's waiting, he's poised. He's poised with the ball more, waiting for the play to develop. It's sort of like the game is slowing down for him so he can make those logical decisions with the ball in his hands. Now, he had 2 turnovers tonight, but if you package up all of his minutes, all of his possessions, all the time with his ball in his hands compared to his turnover numbers, he's been magnificent. Tobias, on the other hand, tonight had a handful of turnovers. I think he finished with 4 on the box score. So, but you're right. When shots aren't falling, you have to kind of get creative to find ways to get to the cup and to get the basket in the hoop. And I think the zone really just threw them out of their comfort zone for sure. And when teams figure that out and realize that a team did it against you and you kind of fell behind, sometimes you have to know that maybe another team will throw it your way. We've seen that in the past, so this team has to find a way to counter that and be more productive. And maybe it's as simple as hit your shots. You hit your shots, you're good. And at times, I thought that was the issue. You missed shots. Then the other team got out in transition, and they were also grabbing some rebounds on your ass. And when that's the combination, miss your shots, quick transitions the other way, scoring on that end, and then also finding offensive rebounds. And then when you kick, and especially late, you start kicking out, you're hitting your threes. They executed purely down the stretch, while the Sixers, shorthanded, struggled to execute purely, but I thought that there was enough talent to still do better than what they did. It goes back to, I'm not expecting dominance and pure elite finishes nonstop with this current crew, but it probably could have been smoother than Furkan Korkmaz handing it off to Andre Drummond, or, what happened with Seth Curry. Like, it probably could have been better than that. Not probably. It could have been better than that. And going with Furkan late, not the move, Doc. Just not the move. Furkan has been abysmal. Even on the defensive side, missing assignment. I mean, it's been bad. It's been really, really bad. All right, what's next?
Now, I'm not the biggest Doc Rivers critic, but my God, this one's on him this time. Raptors are fighting back in the third quarter, going on a run. 7-0, 9-0, 13-0, 15-2, and refused to call timeout and stop the momentum until it was way too late. Stakal could have won, but that could have all been avoided.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to sit here and say I'm putting all the blame on Doc Rivers, but I don't think this is his best coached game. He's had stronger moments. He's had better moments this year where I felt afterwards, all right, hat tip to Doc Rivers and what he provided for this team and how he drew some things up and how he pushed the right buttons. I don't think tonight he pushed the right buttons, but, it's not one of those ones where it was clear and obvious the number one issue. I don't know. I mean, I think it was a lack of execution. That's where it starts for me. So, and I don't want that to make it seem like I'm high on Doc Rivers' game tonight, specifically as a game tonight. No, I don't think he was smooth. He was just like everybody else. The team did not execute. The guys did not execute. Guys missed shots. Guys missed opportunities. Doc Rivers did the same thing. So I just chalk this up to more of a team loss, a team effort. The team let it slip. Doc Rivers being at the top of the team, but not like, hey, you know what, the biggest, like Doc. We've seen Doc games where it was way more on Doc. This, you can kind of utilize the pie chart and break it down with a lot of players and a lot of even distribution in my eyes. But yes, to kind of summarize where you're at all around, it probably could have been better from his point. And if it's better from his point, maybe you get a little bit more out of them. And once again, I don't know if it would have been enough to complete the job and finish it, but it could have looked better than what we saw towards the end. And that's kind of where we're going to end things today. Paul Reed, 3 steals and a block. Hey, how are you? Let's throw that in there real quick. All right, everyone. Thank you all so much for listening to this episode of Sports Talk with Brodes, and I will see you next time.